Whatever it is that you love to do, a place is there for that. All the things you love to eat are being grown there. Animals that you like to hang out with are being cared for there. There's fields and there's woods and there's ponds and a little stream. There's sporting areas. There's a museum and a library. And, whatever it is that you like is there. You walk along and you wave at friends who are glad to see you come back, come up and give you a hug. And you head for your home. And people have been looking out for it as we're there. Of course, some people stayed in it just to make sure it was kept ship-shape. They've been waiting for your return and glad to welcome you back. You can visualize just the perfect home for you. What kind is it that you want? You want a cob house? You want a log house? What is it that you... Is it a glass house? What kind of energy warms it and powers it and so forth? Whatever is your style, your particular style. Just take a minute to take a look at your house and remember how much you love your home. And walk through it and see everything is in good shape. It's looking clean and beautiful for you, waiting for you to get back. And now people are starting to come over because they realize you're there and they're coming over to greet you again. And maybe you go out to your little cafe that's there and sit down for a cup of tea or whatever. And just look around. Take a little time to think about this trip. A little time to visualize. This is your home. This is your future. This is just the way you want it to be for yourself, for your children, for your family, for your friends. They're all around you. Let your mind run, and I'll play a little tune while you settle yourself back into your village.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah. That's what I love. The baby did pass around.
So I'm just going to give a little introduction about the plan. Do you have a name of the clan?
Yes, our clan is called Hawthorn Blossoming.
You want to sit down?
So Neil, Kathleen, Bob, Rudy, and myself.
And
Jacinta, Jacinta was part of our
And Claudio.
and Claudio as well.
very creatively involved in
Yes.
Okay, so basically the theme of our song
Oh,
is
my
about
friends.
from the heart. You know, it's actually all about from the heart. Like permaculture is about from the heart. Talking in a circle is about talking from the heart. So the reason we called our clan Hawthorn Blossoming is because the hawthorn is like blossoming. It's blooming now. So early on in like end of April, start of May, the hawthorn leaves. You eat the leaves. And then in May you make tea from the flowers, or you infuse the flowers in alcohol, like poteen or vodka or whatever, brandy. And then in the autumn you use the berries, and all of those together, individually and together, are good for your heart. So it's all about your heart on a physical level, for high blood pressure and all that, and on an emotional level for to help your heart heal. So that's why we call ourselves Hawthorn. We'll sing the song now.
Thank you.
I think we're going to be able to follow this one.
But
But you'll be able to join along for the heart sound when that time comes. We'll sing it a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's supposed
Can you give us A minor as well, just like Okay, here we go. Have the circle always open with our presence here and now. We will share and we will care to let the news come true. I'm sure have the circle always open with our presence here and now. We will share and we will care to let the new come true.
beautiful. Sing it again. Love it. All right.
And Kjol McCree, music of my heart, I'm Shu is discovering we.
Oh, and that's Irish?
Yeah, the we is the English word, but the
Yeah.
Kjol McCree, music of my heart, and I'm Shu discovering.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Beautiful.
More time. More.
Again.
Sing it again?
Yeah.
A bit more.
And do that more, keep the going.
We should come back to this before we.
We'll start with the this time,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, it's great. Such a beautiful song.
Yes.
As you're singing, you have to imagine
This
your
could be a
heart
hit.
going.
Your heart opening and all that.
Hear it.
All
Oh,
that
I can hear all of Ireland singing this song.
All the hawthorn we've been eating.
See, the thing about it is, over the last couple of days, we've ingested an awful lot of hawthorn in the tea and in the bread and in the food and the salads. We've actually put it into our hearts, so just think about that as well.
Yeah.
So we are the vessels, you know. Easy peasy. Okay, we'll start with the and a breath.
welcome to the Circle Circus. We are beginning. Yay! Yay! Big round of applause. Thank you. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Lisa.
here she is, ladies and gentlemen, Lisha! Oh my gosh! Yay! It's very dangerous up there. Yay to perform the next show. And here they are, the mice.
Oh my God!
Oh, look at that. This has taken years of training. Keep going.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. Here I stand, and here I stay. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.
So you got to focus, concentrate. This could be very dangerous, but nobody's ever been hurt. Here we go. Oh my gosh, look at that. Isn't that incredible? Look at that. Wow. Go terribly wrong, so keep focus, help them. Give them all your energy, give them all your energy. Yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that, ladies and gentlemen.
This looks nice and quiet here.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's nice.
Lovely.
Nice view of the harbor.
So the circle way is what you've been sharing, bringing people around, or going around to people who are learning more about how circle way works.
Right.
And one of the things that you're sharing at the moment is your insights on permaculture of the heart, you're calling it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I get the circle way, of course, from my elders, their view of the way human beings were supposed to live, always did live among our people. And I've translated that into a way of living together with a community that we started, and also my wife and I go around making camps and so on, and we explore living in the circle way for a whole week, which is what we've just been doing with the Irish group here. And I notice we're doing pretty well in the world right now in figuring out how to live sustainably in terms of our physical presence, how to get renewable energy, and how to recycle and use things up, how to grow our own food organically. And in that, what makes the food we grow flourish the best, study what makes this plant best in terms of its soil and water and air and sun and nutrients and things. Done very well. There's been a lot of good exploration and understanding of permaculture in those ways so that we can live sustainably. The one place that I notice that people are still having difficulties is when they start to try and live together with these principles with all good intentions. A lot of the emotional distress that they've experienced in their life and other patterns and conditions that they have get in their way, and they have a hard time with their relationships. And relationships is the weak point in all these eco villages and transition towns and everything that are working so well. When people get closer and closer, as we should, as we want to, because we've been so isolated from each other by this isolating culture. We try to get together, we know that's the right thing, but all this stuff comes up from our past without realizing it. And yeah, couples break up, families break up, communities break up. And so the contribution that Alec and I are presenting around to people is, out of the circle way, is of course people want to come together. And after we come together, then what do we do about the problems that come up among us so that we can stay together and so that we can help each other out instead of struggling against each other? Mm-hmm. And in that, I have developed what we call supportive listening. And that process is almost directly and completely developed out of co-counseling, reevaluation counseling, which I've been teaching for 35 years. But it's a community of itself that has its own rules and so forth. And I want it to spread faster. I want people to live together in that way and experiment with how to help each other better. So I don't call it co-counseling anymore. I call it supportive listening, which is a accurate expression of exactly what it is. It's taking turns listening to each other, but learning how to support each other, how to find out what each other's needs are. Somebody who's listening to you, who's standing outside of your distress, hasn't had your experiences, is not caught up in your patterns, can think more objectively and clearly and flexibly than you are when you're all tied up with that stuff and you're all confused. So it's a way of helping each other, not by giving advice, not by saying, you do it this way or whatever, but by asking questions that help bring them to their own consciousness, help them to discharge the old ghosts that are still hanging around from past experiences that are getting in our way, and move on to make new choices. Our power is in our power to choose, and we need to exercise that in a way in which we feel completely flexible. The whole world is a choice to us. We're not confined to this or that. As we broaden our consciousness, we can figure out a lot of much more constructive ways to live, much more creative ways to live. We can focus our talents, our intelligence and creativity on things that excite us and are helpful to ourselves, to our families, to our communities, or to the world. And so I say we should develop a permaculture of the heart. Now that we understand all about permaculture of plants and things, we need to look at what does the human heart need? What are our basic human needs? And in all my years of counseling and so forth, I've isolated, I think, the most important needs. Is probably a lot more, but I think we should deal with the most important ones first. This whole society that isolates us, it's giving us much more problems because we need each other and we need to be together, and we know that somehow, and it's so difficult. So first thing we got to figure out, what does this person need if I want to help him? Well, we need to be seen and heard. We We can't just be hiding behind a rock or run away into the woods or whatever. We need our fellows, our human beings, to look at us and say, okay, there you are. We need to be heard and we need to be understood. Not just, okay, I'll listen to you, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I see why you're thinking this way. It's understandable. And not only to be understood, we want to be accepted. It's okay to be thinking that way. You know, maybe you can figure out things that are better, but you're okay just the way you are. You're a fine human being. You're completely lovable. Nobody maybe has pointed that out to you before, but you are. And you have all you need to make a good life. So you're completely acceptable. I not only accept you, but I think you're valuable. You're valuable in my life. I like you around because you add to my experience. You help me see myself better, and so on. So I want you around. I want us to be close. And we have another need. We have a need to be valued, but we also have the need to feel like we belong. That goes right back in our evolution to the earliest times when we became human. We became human because we created a circle. Because we needed to be protected, we found other people, we would protect ourselves. We needed to get our food, hunt and gather food, and we got other people to do that so all of us could eat. We took care of our children together. We took care of the fire. We took, our whole culture grew up. We communicated and became human beings with language, all because we came together to help each other. And if we remember that when we try to come together again, the purpose of coming together is to help each other. In that, of course, we get help. Because everybody wanting to help each other in a circle, you're going to get helped. But you don't do it with that motivation, because that's like, oh, please help me, or whatever, your focus is there. But no, I want to understand you. I want to hear what you need, what you want. I want to help you find that. We'll do that together. So to me, that would be a permaculture of the heart. Trying to find out what each other needs and helping each other get to it. And I think this supportive listening system that we teach is the best way I've found yet to find each other's needs and help each other with it. Just to listen to the other person is an immense healing process. Nobody gets listened to enough, ever. You were not listened to. I was not listened to. The kids are not listened to. We don't have... Our society is not good for children. They're not respected. They're not listened to. They're not cared about deeply. Oh, we say we love them and everything else, but we don't care about their feelings. We say stupid things like, well, that didn't hurt. How can you say that to another person? They know whether it hurt or not, you didn't. And we discount their ideas, or they say, we think, oh, that's childish, and we pay no attention. Our thinking is much more valuable at this point. And so children go off in their own world, which is a world of play, and we're where they should be. So I'm also trying to help people enter into their world very respectfully and figure out how to play again and get back to our childhoods and our open, free, imagination. Let's pretend together. And it's also a way to help our children when they get tied up with confusions over, well, that's mine, no, that's mine, and all the things that come like that. If we get that playfully and get them playing with each other and laughing instead of, that's the way to go with that.
Yes, all those factors. I can see all of those things in the Circle Way camp that I went to and met you at.
Yes.
Play was included. I'm trying to think how can we do all that? And in actual fact, doing it is the answer, because
Yes.
they're all so agreeable. The deep listening and the accepting each other, and rather than taking or expecting something, it's giving. It's in the giving that you find your own, in supporting others, that you find yourself being supported, and seeing the beauty in the other, you know. And it's all actually natural, because, you know, and it's following nature's design, which is what the permaculture part is. And I've seen you practice this and like hold the space for this. Central to it is a fire, a place where people can return to. This is where the village kind of comes in. And the play and being your true innocent self, really.
Exactly, exactly. I was so pleased at this last camp, at the very end, the last circle. Carol was so powerful in her feelings, saying, I need this now. I don't want to wait anymore. What are we waiting for? This is the most important thing for us. This is our lives. We need to do this now, be together, give this to each other. She was so eloquent. I was like, oh, yeah. And then Penelope came along after that and said, yes. And people say that we're weird and they're normal. But the actual thing is, this is what's normal. The life out there is what's weird. It's not human. And being isolated from each other, we don't know how to be human. We've got to come together and help each other. And that's how we get human again. So I'm recommending in my new book about caring for children, I recommend towards the end that parents have to get together to liberate themselves, talk about what their needs as parents are, help each other with that, take care of the kids together, have play days together and so forth, and move towards having a community of parents that will be with you, and then move further on to what my real goal is, that we have a community that divorces itself from being dependent on the outside society altogether, from being dependent on the supermarket, being dependent on the gas station, being dependent on the power station, being dependent on all the things that we don't know how to exist unless the power company is giving us electricity and we have all our machines. We don't know how to do that without it. But in the Eco Village, they're beginning to learn how to do that for themselves, to supply their natural sun and wind energy that's renewable, and to use that to pump the water into the fields where they're growing their organic food. And little by little, that's all working well, and I just want to fill in that place where it gets hard for people figuring out how to live with each other. And I want to say that my wife and I, my former wife and I, created a community in which all this worked. We brought all these elements together. We all learned this supportive listening process. We learned about how to help each other. It was the best community I ever was in or ever visited. And the people loved each other, and it just was so smooth. It worked. We had a few problems, and I think a few that we didn't solve well as I look back. You know, I put that into my book too. But it was too small. When it's really small, it's vulnerable to the comings and goings and the breakings up and so forth. But the one thing, my wife and I decided to divorce when we were in the community, and that was so easy. We had all that support. We loved each other, but it just wasn't working in the bedroom anymore. She wanted other, and I thought, well, that would be liberating for me too. We were struggling with each other, but we loved the children, and we loved the community, and the community loved the children. We're able to do this so easily with other people listening to us through it and all. It was, and we're still great friends and co-parents of our wonderful children who are now 39, 35 years old and have their own children. And So I know this works.
Yes. I can see a great deal of trust and acceptance in your experience. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you did come to Ireland and that you initiated so much for people, because we're ready and it's happening.
Yeah.
And may you return safely home and return to Ireland again. You're most welcome.
I do hope so. I plan to, if my health holds up as long as it does, and I have the strength. I love Ireland. I love the people. I love all of our circle there.
Yeah, a little bit about your own family. You are of what? What's the name of the?
Wampanoag. My father, my grandfather on my father's side was from the Wampanoag Nation, and we've been split up for many years. Our particular branch of it didn't have any more communities since 1870. So it's, mainly in memory, in stories and so forth and so on, that I carried that along after he died. But then when I saw what the world was in such bad shape, then I went to rediscover that part of my background that I felt had some wisdom that I didn't know yet. So I went in search of elders, and I found it. And that's what the basis of everything I do. Everything I knew was based on what the elders taught me then.
Well, let's go and just see Alika. Thank you very much. And pronouncing your name is? It's
Manitonquat.
Right. We know you as Medicine Story.
Medicine Story is a kind of an English way of saying it.
Okay.
Oh, regretfully, we have to leave the beach and the water and everything else and go flying away. But we'll be back. This is nice. I love the dunes.
But you also get energy from people. They don't take energy away from you. Yeah, good. Yes, good. Wonderful.
Cheese!
Okay.
Are you going by?
We're off.
No. Let's go.
No, I'm going real slow. If you want to bring your car to the parking lot here, I'll be there by the time
It's a
you
very
get.
smart idea. Okay, we'll meet you in the parking lot, all right?
Okay.
Okay.
I love you. I say we. He brought that over a little bit. He said, well, I guess I can't complain about that, because I'm one of the people that changed the words of that old hymn, I will overcome. So the chorus of it, I'll give it to you and we'll sing it a few times, then I'll throw in the verse and we'll come back and sing it again. Goes like this. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because we love you, we'll give it one more try to show our rainbow race it's too soon to die. One blue sky above us, one ocean roaring on the shores, one earth so green and brown, who could ask for more? And because we love you, we'll give it one more try to show our rainbow race it's too soon to die.